Welcome to the AI for Career Success podcast by Curt Robbins, where we help you get smarter than your competition.
It's great to be back.
I'm your host, Fred Jones.
And I'm Daphne Blake.
And for episode 185, we're looking at news so big it is. It's literally leaving the planet.
It's massive. We've all heard the rumors, but now it's official. Elon Musk's SpaceX has officially acquired his artificial intelligence company, xAI.
It really does sound like something out of a movie.
Yeah.
But we're digging into the facts, starting with a great piece by John Thomas.
Yeah, his article on LinkedIn, Elon Musk's SpaceX acquires xAI, just dropped on February 2, 2026.
So it's brand new, and we've also pulled in analysis from people like Daniel M., Vince Condorcet, and a really sharp, critical take from Daniel Altman.
Because this isn't just a simple merger. I mean, on the surface, sure, one guy, two companies. But the more you look, the more it seems like the start of a whole new kind of industrial infrastructure.
That's the phrase, isn't it? Industrial infrastructure. This is so much more than a chatbot company meeting a rocket company.
It's about hardware. It's about energy. So the deal closed on February 2nd. SpaceX is now the managing entity. The rocket builders bought the brain builders.
And the immediate question is, why? Why does an aerospace company need an AI company?
Right. It's not for the rockets to have someone to talk to on the way to Mars.
Yeah, although maybe.
Maybe. But no, John Thomas and an analyst he cites, Tina Dungy, they point to the real reason. It's about data centers.
Which we talk about all the time, mostly how much power they consume.
Exactly. That is the bottleneck. You know, if you're in tech, the limits on AI right now, they're not code, they're physics. We are physically running out of grid power.
And struggling to cool them.
Yes, without boiling the local water supply. So Musk's vision is to bypass that whole problem. Just leave the grid behind.
By launching the data centers into orbit.
That's the plan.
Okay, so what are the advantages? Because that sounds incredibly expensive.
Well, first, energy. In space, you get solar power 24/7. No clouds, no night. It's just a constant, unlimited stream of clean power.
Okay, so free energy. Once the hardware is up there, what about the cooling problem?
It's a great question. You can't use air or water in a vacuum. You have to use radiative cooling. Basically, you just beam the heat out into space, and if you do it right, space is an infinite heat sink.
So you solve the energy and the cooling problem with zero impact on Earth's environment.
That's the vision. And the scale of this vision, I mean, Tina Dungy mentioned a filing to put 1 million AI satellites in orbit.
1
million.
1 million.
That is just... It's hard to wrap your head around that number. This changes everything for anyone working in cloud infrastructure.
It absolutely does. The whole game is shifting from horizontal laying fiber optic cables to vertical, building up. And that's the strategic genius here. You know, Google and Meta are fighting over real estate and power grids on the ground.
And Musk is just leaving the map.
He's drawing a new one in orbit. And that brings us to the money, because the valuations we're seeing are just dizzying.
Well, it depends on who you ask. Daniel M. gave a more conservative estimate. He put SpaceX at around 180 to 200 billion and xAI at 50 to 75 billion.
And that's the conservative take.
Right, because then you see Vince Condorcet's numbers. He's looking at recent private sales, and he puts SpaceX closer to $800 billion.
Wow, 4 times higher.
And he has xAI pegged at around 230 billion.
So you combine those and you're already over $1 trillion.
Easily. Bloomberg is floating a potential combined valuation of 1.25 trillion. And the rumor is that this is all to set up a blockbuster IPO. June 2026.
That's just a few months away.
Yeah.
A $1.25 trillion IPO would be the biggest in history.
It would be. But beyond the number, it's about what Daniel M. called infrastructure convergence.
Okay, let's unpack that. Sounds a bit like corporate jargon.
It's actually a really powerful idea. Think about it. Starlink provides the internet connection. SpaceX rockets provide the transport. The satellites provide the solar power. And xAI provides the intelligence.
They own the entire stack. The power plant, the delivery truck, the internet, and the brain.
It's a completely closed loop. It's what you could call sovereign compute. They don't depend on anyone else's grid.
That has to be terrifying if you're a competitor.
It is. But building a new grid in the sky, that requires some, let's call it financial creativity.
And not everyone is convinced this is about technological vision. Some think it's a bit of a shell game.
Right. And before we get into that side of the story, we should take a quick pause.
Let's take a brief break for a special message from our producer, Curt Robbins.
We'll be right back.
Hi, this is Curt Robbins. First, thanks for listening. I truly appreciate your support. I want to let you know that I'm currently accepting new clients. My rates are affordable, and I have more than 25 years of experience working for enterprise companies like Microsoft, Northrop Grumman, Oracle, PNC Bank, FedEx, USAA, and Wells Fargo, among many others. If you want to improve your IT documentation and communications, hire me. I deliver fast, know how to use AI to improve efficiency and accuracy, and love going the extra mile to satisfy my clients. Thank you for subscribing and listening. Back to you, Daphne and Fred.
Welcome back to the AI for Career Success podcast.
So before the break, we were talking about the trillion-dollar sci-fi vision. Now we have to look at the other side of the coin.
The skeptic's view. And we read a really biting analysis on this from Daniel Altman. He's not buying the story.
Not at all. He flat out calls it a shell game.
Okay, walk us through this because it gets a little complicated. It involves X, the platform we used to call Twitter.
Right. So X has been struggling financially. A lot of debt, ad revenue is down. Altman's theory is that this whole merger is really a way to clean up the books.
But how does merging a rocket company and an AI company fix a social media company?
The theory is that xAI, which was the hot new thing attracting billions from investors, was used to essentially bail out the investors in X.
Transferring value from the new shiny company to the old struggling one?
Precisely. Altman suggests xAI was used to buy out X investors at inflated prices, and now, by merging xAI into the huge balance sheet of SpaceX, you hide that transaction.
He called xAI the X albatross.
Yeah, an albatross hung around the neck of SpaceX. So if you're a SpaceX investor, you think you're funding missions to Mars, but you might actually be absorbing the bad debt from Twitter.
That's the dilution argument. You're taking a pristine asset and mixing it with riskier ventures.
Exactly. But Altman takes it one step further. He has a prediction for the next move.
Which is?
That Tesla will eventually acquire SpaceX.
A car company buys a rocket company. Why would they do that?
It's purely financial, according to Altman. He argues that Tesla's valuation at $1.6 trillion with a huge PE ratio is a bubble.
So Tesla's stock is essentially inflated currency.
That's his argument. So what do you do with inflated currency? You spend it. You use the high-priced Tesla stock to buy the hard assets of SpaceX.
You trade the paper bubble for actual rockets.
You convert the paper wealth into tangible infrastructure before the market realizes what's happened. It's an extremely cynical take.
So we have two completely opposite stories. One is a genius move to create orbital sovereign AI. The other is a complex financial shell game to hide debt.
And the thing is, for anyone listening, you have to understand that both can be true at the same time. You can have brilliant engineering happening alongside very questionable financial engineering.
That's a great point. They're not mutually exclusive. But let's go back to the tech, because whatever the financing looks like, the competitive threat is real. Daniel M. called it a new arms race.
This is key. He says the AI war won't be won in data centers on Earth anymore. It'll be won with real-time intelligence from orbit.
Meaning? Lower latency.
Exactly. Think about the military or global shipping. They need information now. If your AI processor is in orbit right next to your spy satellite, you cut out the middleman.
You process the image right there and just send down the answer. You don't beam down terabytes of raw data to a server farm in Virginia.
Yes. It's AI-native satellite operations. It's faster and far more secure. And if you're in defense, tech, or logistics, you have to watch this. The entire infrastructure of your industry could be moving.
But the risks are huge. I mean, we talked about the financial risk, but the technical risk of putting the world's AI brain in space.
It's immense. You're talking about solar flares, micrometeoroids. Space is a hostile environment. And then there's a control issue.
The sovereign compute part.
Right. What happens if one company controls our civilization's off-planet brain? What happens if they just turn it off? That's a single point of failure we've never had to consider as a society.
It's a lot to take in. You have this incredible potential for unlimited, clean compute, and at the same time, this complex financial structure that could be a house of cards.
And that's really the story here. The ambition is always matched by the risk.
So what's the final takeaway for everyone listening?
I'd say, stop focusing only on the software. We all talk about GPT-5 or the next model, but the software has to run somewhere. The race to own where it runs, whether that's on a chip on Earth or a satellite in orbit, that's where the real power and money is going to be for the next decade.
The map is being redrawn. It's being redrawn in the stars.
Absolutely.
Well, somewhere between orbital mechanics and balance sheets, I think we have to leave it there for today.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you for listening to the AI for Career Success podcast from Curt Robbins, where we help you get smarter than your competition. Remember to like, subscribe, comment and share. We'll see you next time.